Hello there and welcome back to my video. Today I'm going to be showing you how I created this Joker inspired look, inspired by both the Jared Leto and Heath Ledger Jokers, and I tried to give it my own feminine and glamorous twist. Anyway, let's get started. So, step number 1, you want to make sure you are nice and clean and moisturised and ready to go, and I'm going to start off using an eyebrow pencil or whatever pencil you have at hand, and you're just going to roughly sketch out your design. For the body painting, I'm going to be using Kryolan Aquacolors, and I'm using the UV colours with a mixture of black and white as well. So to begin with, you just really want to simply fill in the shapes that you created, so that's the collars, the shoulders, the ruffly bits, the bow, and yeah, just everything. And I'm starting off by adding this light lavender purple first as a base, and then afterwards I'm going to go in with a darker purple and add the stripes. So we don't need to worry too much about detail and shading at this point just yet, just worry about getting the simple colour down. Moving on, this step is going to bring the piece to life. So I'm adding the shadow now, and I'm going to add this where the collars are and just where the shadows will sit really. So I'm using an angled brush and some black eyeshadow, and you just simply want to start applying this to the edges, and then taking a fine detailed eyeshadow brush, you then want to feather out the shadow. I like to use back and forth motions to get a nice soft blend, and don't go too heavy on this step as you can really make it look 2D, and that's not what you want. So as you may have noticed already, I'm going in with some highlights as well. So for this step I'm using the Kryolan Supracolour in white, and I'm using the oil based paint because it really does look pure white instead of like an off-white. And yeah, you want to add these to the raised areas of the piece. A little helpful tip that I like to use when working on straight edges particularly is use a brush that has a flat head. This will give you a really nice straight line. So as you can see here, I'm putting it on just the tops of the shoulders slightly, and in the centre of the deep purple area, and on the collars I'm just adding these on the very edges, and that'll just do, that'll be enough, you don't need any more than that. So when doing this step, you really want to think about where the light is coming from, so you don't want to add too much highlight or add it in the wrong areas, because you can make the surface look as if it's made of plastic, as if it's shiny or really reflected. You don't want that, so just bear that in mind when you're doing this. And also another little helpful tip is I like to keep the brush very just a slight bit of product on the brush, and you want to dry brush the surface, really gently feather the surface. You don't want to go in too heavy with your hand. Gently build up the colour. I'd rather you build up the colour slowly than just slap it on and then realise you've got too much on. So for the frilly bits on your chest, it does look really difficult and complicated, but when you get down to actually doing it, it's really not. So you just want to take a regular eyeshadow brush, and you're going to go in with some black eyeshadow and just start adding the shadow. And really you got to think about where the raised areas of the frilly bits are and where the lower areas are. So obviously where the lower areas are, you want to add the black, and where the raised areas are, you want to add the white. And again, just gently build up the colour, use back and forth brush stroke motions, and you should hopefully get a nice 3D result. And then you want to go ahead and add more shadow to the outer parts of the frilly bits, so it looks as if the frilly bits are sat on top of you, and then add details to the bow as well. So I wanted the bow to look as if it had creases in it, so again, you may want to go in with a finer brush or an angled brush and do so. So yeah guys, it really is that simple. You just want to know where the light is going to catch and where the shadow is going to hit. Another little helpful tip that I'll slide in there while I can is you can use different coloured eyeshadows. So if you're adding shadow to the yellow, you may want to consider adding some browns. If you're adding shadow to the purple areas, you may want to consider adding deeper purples and even blues as well. This is going to give it a bit more of a realistic look if that's what you're going for. For the buttons, I'm going to create some simple black dots, and then I'm going to add a tiny little bit of white for the highlight as well. And then finally for the body, you want to add shadow on the inside of the collar, so where it begins on the neck, if that makes any sense. So you want to make it look like you're actually wearing a suit, so you want shadow to be on the inside of the neck. Moving on to the face. So for this I will be using Kryolan Supracolour in white once again, so I'm going to be using oil-based paints for my face, and I'm going to take a beauty blender and you're just going to simply want to coat your entire face in white. And I always do this, I forgot to glue my eyebrows down first, so you want to go ahead and do that as well. If you are watching this and by any chance you have a shaved side, then you can go ahead and coat your shaved side too. Once your eyebrows are ready to be painted on, I'm just going to go ahead and paint it on with a paintbrush, because I feel if I use a beauty blender it doesn't get in the little dips of the brows and it leaves gaps. So yeah, you want to get the colour right in there. Oh, and of course do not forget to cover your neck as well. Now let's pay attention to the eyes, as they're looking a little bit left out here. So I'm going to add some NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk to the eyes, and you just again want to evenly coat this, and I'm going to coat this a little bit thicker than normal because I'm going to add some eyeshadow later on. I do apologise, I'm really terrible at showing products to the camera because I always forget, but with this I'm using the NYX Ultimate Brights eyeshadow palette and I'm going to start creating the cut crease. So you want to use an angled brush and you want to go ahead and start creating the basic shape. So as you can probably tell, I'm going for a very big and dramatic feel to it. I'm creating the cut crease so that it's very large and very high up on my eyelid, and that it flicks upwards towards my forehead as well. And of course for this eye you want to take a really nice beautiful green. This green is absolutely spot on from the NYX Ultimate Brights eyeshadow palette. It matches my hair, my bow and the entire Joker. It's just so satisfying. Once you've created your wing type line, you want to go ahead and get your eyeshadow brush and really pack on that pigment and really get the colour as strong as possible. So as you can probably tell already, I'm starting to introduce some yellow as well, and you want the eyeshadow to transition softly from the green to the yellow. As the eyeshadow gets higher and higher, you want to add the colour less and less and just give a bit more of a gentle approach to it because you want it to fade out gradually. So now that you've packed on the colour at the bottom of the eyeshadow, you then want to feather it at the top. So just gently use small circular brushstroke motions and use less and less pigment as well. And then you want to be doing the exact same thing with the other eye, but instead I'm using purple. Next, the really fun bit, I'll be taking NYX Epic Ink Liner and I'll be creating a big dramatic wing. So with the eyeliner, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're just going to add a line to your eyelid and then you're going to want to create a wing so that it matches the shape of the cut crease that you made. So as you can see here, I'm flicking it onwards and upwards.
Fly it and everybody, we show up in the party. Fly it and everybody, we show up.
And just to be super extra, I'm adding a big cat eye as well. And I'm doing this so that the direction of the cat eye is sort of pointing downwards. And now to be even more extra AF, I'm going ahead and adding a sort of, I guess you can call it a wing underneath my eye as well. Next I'll be taking that same purple product and applying this underneath my eye, and I'm going to create some lines coming downwards. So I'll be taking a fine detailed eyeshadow brush and I'm just going to really gently apply the product, and I'm going to use up and down brushstroke motions to get the best result. And the intention of this was to make it so it looked quite soft and diffused. I didn't want the lines to look super sharp and defined, so I only applied very little product and worked my way up. As you can see here, I am not going back and forth to the palette, I'm just applying a very little amount of product and I'm just really working it in.
We show up in the party, fly it and everybody. We show up in the...
Moving on to the brows. So for this I'll be taking the Kat Von D brow pomade in Lemmy green, and once again I forgot to show the product, I'm really sorry, but basically what you're going to be doing is taking an angled brush and you're going to create some upside down, angry, crazy ass looking brows. I mean, obviously, if you're creating this look for whatever reason, you can change it if you want to. You can just create some normal brows if you wish. And with most of my looks, as usual, when I create my brows, I love to create a nice ombre faded effect at the ends of the brows. So feel free to do that if you wish. I'll be using a little bit of product and just flicking it outwards gently. Next, just for a little bit of fun detail, I'll be adding an upside down cross on one eye and some dots on the other. For the dots I'm creating it so that they are sort of diffused outwards and speckled. Once again, it's up to you what you want to do. You can add different symbols if you want to. For an example, you could add some playing card symbols. Using the jumbo pencil in milk or any white that you have at hand, you can apply this to your waterline. Moving on to the mouth, so I'll be taking some red eyeshadow and again an angled brush or a fine brush, and I'm going to start creating the smile from the corner of my mouth. The reason why I'm using eyeshadow and not a red eyeliner is because I wanted the lines to look sort of faded out rather than sharp once again, so just gently apply the product. I'm just filling in half of my lips in red. You can use a lipstick or an SFX cream colour. And then going back in with some red eyeshadow and a thicker brush, but still a small brush, I will be spreading out the colour and applying a little bit more and just diffusing the colour outwards once again. And you want to create a nice soft transition. Again, don't add too much product, and I'm using the lines that I used earlier as a little bit of a guide. So my intentions when creating this was to make the lips look as if they were sore and there was redness coming from it, like irritation. And then I will be taking a black. You can use an eyeliner or some oil paints. I'm using oil paints in this, and you just want to very gently, very slightly just touch the edge of your skin right in the centre of the rips and the tears. You don't want to overdo this because again you're just going to make them look like bold lines, and I want it to look as if it was really sort of deep in the skin. You may want to touch this a little bit on the inside of your lip or half lip as well, because this will continue the flow between the lips to the smile. For the other side of the mouth, I will be creating just a simple red line, and then inside that mouth I'll be applying some yellow, just a very hint of yellow, because I wanted the Joker's teeth to look like he's been smoking some cigarettes, and then I will be adding in some teeth as well. Next, you want to take some black eyeshadow and you're going to create some shade on the teeth so it looks like it's sitting behind your lips. You also want to apply this shadow and shade underneath your lips as well to give your lips a bit more dimension. And then taking some white eyeliner, I'll be applying this to the lips just to give it a bit of shine. And then I will be adding creases, wrinkles and smile lines. And then finally, I will be painting a bunch of hairs on my head. Just a little bit of optional touch-ups. I'm adding some blood coming from my nose and some blood on my teeth as well. And that is it, guys. Thank you so much if you managed to watch the entire video all the way through. I really do appreciate it. If you liked this video and you found it helpful, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Facebook and Instagram at gothspectrum, and I shall see you again.
Awakening is clear.